Football is still a game about out-hitting people and a battle of wills, and I think sometimes that gets lost, but the line of scrimmage out will never change. You have to want to do that, and it's got to be, you have to make up your mind to say, I'm going to out-will and out-hit this person for 60 minutes, whatever you're playing, however many minutes you're playing. We call that out, like when we see it, we call it out when we don't see it, and we reward it when we see it.
He may be in his first year as the offensive line coach at South Carolina, but he's been around the program for a couple years, and he's been around football for a lot longer. In this edition of Gamecock Talk, hear the journey of Lonnie Teasley and why coaching almost every position on the field has been a huge key to his success. Let's talk about a little bit about your background. So you're the offensive line coach now at South Carolina, but you've been here for a couple of years. So tell me about your role that you've done the last couple of years.
So I've been the O-line analyst here, and that basically assistant was Coach Adkins. And basically anything we needed done, I had game plan responsibilities and that sort of thing, but just assisting in that role.
How has those last couple of years helped you to moving into this role now?
I got to learn the day in and day out of being the O-line coach because I'm always, working with Coach Ad. So I saw what he had to do day in, day out. I got to know the players and connect with them and saw the things that helped them as far as their development. And then just learning and, working with the coordinators and what's expected there and what Coach Beamer expects out of this room.
Talk to me a little bit about Coach Adkins and how he was able to help you the last couple of years, and then how he's still on campus here helping out every day.
So Coach Ad, 30 plus years in this profession, so he's got he's a walking football encyclopedia. He's seen every situation you can go through. So just learning things I may not have seen before when he was in place and how he handled it and how he had success with it or didn't have success, that taught me a lot. And then now that we're switched, I can lean on him and, things that may show up or come up and how'd you handle this in the past? So that's very beneficial.
Well, it says a lot about y'all's working relationship with each other, being able to do that. It's probably pretty rare to see somebody kind of take the back seat now and still help out as much as he is.
Yes, sir. It's just two guys who don't let, everybody has an ego, but we don't let egos get in the way.
Let's talk about who you are as a coach. Obviously, the players kind of already know you. You've been here, but from the outside, now that you've got this new role, what do South Carolina fans need to know about the type of coach you are?
First thing, I'm about development. I want to see my guys get better. One, because that's going to help us win a lot of football games. Two, these guys got personal goals, and I want to help them reach them. So I'm a very, hands-on, technical. I'm going to help build their game so they can max out what those goals that they have. I also, there's certain standards in the room we talk about how we play. Before we get to, I started with the technical piece, and I shouldn't, but we talk about how we play, as that's the most important thing we want to see on tape. So the how we play and then developing our craft, that's what I'm about. And then just building the relationships through that. When you spend a lot of time with guys and when you're trying to teach them how to go about playing the game, because it'll help them in life. Like when you have that mindset that you can go get this job done if I put the work in, it's going to help me in life as well. So you grow those relationships and you can relate it to real life and in football. And then just seeing them working side by side with them, helping them build their craft so they can reach their goals, so they can become a starter in this conference, so they can become all conference, whatever their goals may be. You build that bond with them because you go through ups and downs, and this game isn't easy, and you got to work for it. And so just going through that with them I think it makes me like my connection with them. Like, I think you have to be connected with them for them to grow, because they won't listen to what you say. That's who I am. I want how we play to show up. I want us to grow in our skill, and I just want us to be connected. Where they got trust in me, I got trust in them.
One of the things you just mentioned seems to be what a lot of the coaches are saying, is that they care about the people first. That's the first thing. You've got to build those relationships. They're going to trust you more. That feels like it trickles down from the top. A lot of what Coach Beamer also preaches is a lot of that. Is that true?
That's definitely true. So he tells us all the time we better be embodying the core values. And he says it's not just words on the wall. So, if trust is one of our core values, it needs to show with your relationships with the players. If competition is compete is one of our core values, it needs to show in our room. So that's why when we talk about how we play, if toughness is one of our core values, it needs to show in the room. So that's kind of where everything starts from Coach Beamer, and then he always says you're the head coach of your room. So he gives you how he wants his program ran, and then you run your room. So, but it definitely starts from the top with, how he's set the core values and the culture of this team.
You mentioned talking about how you play the game. Yes. Am I allowed to bring up the word nasty? I've heard a few people joke about that with the offensive linemen. It's on the wall in here. So talk to me about that mentality.
So football is still a game about out-hitting people and a battle of wills. And I think sometimes that gets lost, but the line of scrimmage, that will never change. So you have to want to do that. And it's got to be, you have to make up your mind to say, I'm going to out-will and out-hit this person for 60 minutes, whatever you're playing, however many minutes you're playing. So we call that out, like when we see it, we call it out when we don't see it, and we reward it when we see it. So it's just trying to make it a positive more than it is a negative. And you want them to buy into it. And again, it's a mindset. So it's like they have to believe it, and they have to believe that that's going to help us win games. And any good team, I think your O-line needs to set the tone right there.
I think we talked about that with Coach Robertson too, just about the hog mollies, the big boys, defensive line and offensive line, how important that is in either running the ball or stopping the run in the SEC. Have you noticed that in the last couple of years, maybe more than other places in the country?
Yes, this is definitely a line of scrimmage league. If you don't, you got to win up front in this league. The D-lines, I'm just talking D-lines because O-linemen are so good in this league. You got to bring it every week. And we got to set the tone from that aspect to have success in this conference.
Let's talk about your background a little bit in coaching before you got here. I looked up just a little bit about you and where you've been and different stops you've done, and it looks like you've coached basically everything but quarterbacks on the field. It looks like, maybe not DBs, but that's about it. So talk to me about that and just how that's helped you, in the game. It's got to be able to help to know what the tight ends are doing, what offensive line, defensive line. So tell me about that.
So I got my first job actually. Coach Victor Floyd at Chester High School hired me. And then he left and took another job in Georgia, and I went with him. And then he put me on defense. So I had just graduated college, and I was O-lineman, and I wanted to coach O-line, and he took me out of my comfort zone, which was the best thing for me. I coached D-line there, and that taught me what the other side of the ball was thinking. And then I could help those guys because I could tell them what the O-line was thinking. So then I got my first job in college coaching tight ends. And I had never experienced the passing game. I always knew as a player what was going on with the passing game, but I didn't understand the route trees and all that stuff. The technical side. So that pushed my learning from that aspect because I never thought about it. So I got to learn that. And then I got promoted and moved to linebackers. And,
all over the field, all over.
So that helped me a lot because that's when I learned defensive football. I learned how to fit the run, and that helps me as an O-line coach to this day because I had to learn how to get the linebackers to fit versus the different run schemes and how we fit with the safeties. And now it's the same thing. So like when I'm watching tape, when you guys just came and got me, I'm watching to see how that defense fits the inside zone and their rules. And then now you can if you know the rules, you can take advantage of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you see their tendencies on tape and you understand them as a coach, having coached linebackers, that's got to be able to help you, now, like you said, as an offensive line coach. Okay, well, then how do we attack them? How do we exploit what they do?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about just a lot of new pieces on the offensive line this year. Tell me some of the challenges that come with that from a cohesiveness standpoint and getting new guys, maybe who have been here already, but playing different positions, sliding over, now starting. What's that like?
You hit it on the head. The O-line has to gel. A lot of people say 5 is 1. You have to play as 1 up front. And when you have basically a new offensive line up front, we got guys who've played like Rashawn and Tyshawn and Jakai, but those guys are in different positions really. And now you bring in new pieces in, and you got to know the guy beside you and how you're fitting in these combos and how you're communicating in the heat of the battle. It's one thing to walk through them and all that stuff, and then when it gets in the heat in the battle, how are we handling the communication together next to each other? So just gelling, like these reps we're getting in camp are great because we're getting to do it in the heat of the battle. And they're knowing how this guy communicates versus when someone else is in the game. So that's the biggest. That was our biggest goal this camp, is getting the 5 guys who give us the best chance to win, and getting those guys, making sure we're on the same page, we're communicating the right way. And then the next guys, they got to be ready to do it as well. So it's huge, us just playing as 1.
I want to ask you about versatility, but kind of going off what you just said, I think you see it on every level, high school, college, pro. The offensive line groups who are really good are the ones who only have 5 starters the entire year, or 6. They stay healthy, they get to work together. Then by the end of the year, they might not have started as the best offensive line group, but if they can stay all the way through together, they're usually pretty solid.
Yeah, that's true.
But going back to versatility, somebody who has coached a lot of different positions, so you know how important versatility is. How about on the offensive line? You mentioned that a couple guys are shifting different positions. Yeah. It's not as simple as people think to go from tackle to guard or guard to center. Yeah. So talk to me about how important versatility is.
It's versatility is really important for us because we were still trying to find our top 5 guys. So, you may have one guy who's really good at tackle, but he can't play guard. Then you have a tackle who can play both. That way you can get your best 5 on the field. So that's been huge. And another thing that people don't realize is switching from the left side to the right side is extremely difficult for big boys. And because your hips get aligned a certain way, and then you got to flip it, and you got to organize your brain. But those guys have done a good job with it. We've moved guys around a lot, and they've been up for the challenge.
I didn't think about the left to right as much as I'm sure, like you said, most people don't think about that, but you're doing the exact opposite, like you're flipping your entire body to do the exact opposite thing. So it probably takes a lot of adjustment. It's like going from shortstop to second base or something. It's a different side of the field. Let's talk about your fire and passion. Sitting here, you seem like a pretty calm, collected guy, right? On the field, we've seen you sometimes get into it. Where does that come from?
Just compete. I like to compete. I always tell my guy, I'm in this setting right now, it's different. I'm gonna be calm. I'm trying to make sure I don't screw my words up on camera, so I'm a little more calm. But when we're in the meeting room, I gotta go. That's gotta be the best meeting they ever heard in their life. So every time. Yeah. And that's the way I approach it. So when I get talking about football, it's just natural. The juices get flowing in. And I'm trying to make sure that's the best meeting they've ever had in their life so they can get something from it. Same thing, we're on the field. I want that to be the best on-field instruction they ever got in their life. So I'm passionate about it. We put a lot of time into it, and we like to compete. So that's where it comes from. In my normal settings, I probably talk like this, and, then when you get me talking about football or I'm teaching or we're on that field, it's different. And I always say, and especially O-linemen, a lot of times O-linemen, they're split personalities. And I probably was like that as a player too. It's off the field, you're who you are. And then when you put that helmet on, you're a different person. and you got to be like
Nasty.
that. Yeah,
You
you got to be nasty. So
And then when you go home, you got to turn that off because you've got a wife and 3 daughters. Is that right?
So this is how I got to talk at home anyway, because I raised my voice to my 3 little girls. Like, I can't do it.
Well, Coach, I appreciate it, and we're happy to have you here still at the University of South Carolina for your 3rd year. So good luck this season. We'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.